Good afternoon or good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay? I'm going to dual broadcast with the Chart Patterns Mastery because we have some stock positions we have to manage. Can you hear me okay? Good afternoon, everyone. I wanted to be sure you could hear me okay. I had to reload. Can everybody hear me? Great. I'm also dual broadcasting on YouTube. And just to let you know what we did just in the Chart Patterns Mastery, we shorted Microsoft. So we shorted Microsoft all day. I mentioned that I was going to call out ledges. So there's your ledge. So guess what? Yep, I posted. We shorted it there. We covered here. Then I posted that I was going to short it again at 328. I didn't post it, but I shorted it to 328 and we just bought half back at 326 and a half. I'm still short Microsoft. The key in here definitely is to key off Tesla. So the whole market rallied because Tesla rallied. I always try to find what markets are keen off of. So right now, what they're keen off of is definitely Tesla. So Tesla was up, and I wanted to, Bo, how did that work with those ledges? So let me show you what a Brecher ledge is. Basically, a Brecher ledge is just a horizontal line, like you see with the arrow, after a sell-off, and it's like a bear flag, but with a horizontal line. A lot of times you break down, you come back and test it. Now, you might say, why didn't you short exactly here? Because I wanted to wait for another reversal candle, which is what we got. So this thing right here is the VWAP. I do not use the VWAP literally. I use the VWAP in relation to companion stocks. So if I see, let's say, Broadcom breaking it, then you think Lamb's going to break it, which makes you think ADI is going to break it, and so on. Check that out. There you go. So broke. That broke a long time ago, and it turns red. So that broke, not by much. So right now we're short Lam Research, we're short Tesla, we're short Microsoft. So just to let you know that that's what we're in. But what happens is everybody is keen off Tesla. And like I harped on this morning, is to me, this is called a capitulation top, where you get up, and then just a whoosh higher. You could put it upside down. That's like a capitulation bottom. Now it's hindsight because it's got to get down here for you to say it's a capitulation top. But we have some low ball puts in there. We'll see what happens. But the second that stopped going up, the whole market stopped going up. So the other thing, and we're always going on tells. We're always going on tells in here. And this is what we were watching is number one, Tesla. Number two, as the markets were going up, there, Tesla, guess what? Microsoft's another bear flag. Wow. But now it's at support. So let me just go put that in the Chart Patterns Mastery. I'm covering all of Microsoft at 326. 326. Well, I put it a little late. 326.38. Right where it's trading. There. Still a good trade. So we're out of that. But the whole key is I'm trying to go on what stocks that the markets are keen off of, and also the internals. So here is the NASDAQ going nuts on a 1-minute chart. Not right now, but back here. And the NASDAQ advanced decline was doing that. That doesn't give you warm fuzzies if you're long the NASDAQ. And then the second it stops going up, I mean, like it just wavers. So they were wavering on here on Tesla. And the second they wavered on Tesla, then this went down. Now, the big question is, what do you do now? Well, that's when I go to the MACD. So I use the MACD, and let me show you. I use this. So I use the 3, 10, 16. It can be simple. It can be exponential. Everybody knows this on the chart patterns mastery side, but I just thought I'd show this 3, 10, 16 for SPX non 24-hour things. I use it daily. When it hooks up, when it's over like the 50, that red line at the minimum, and it hooks up, that's a bull signal, but not blindly a bull signal. Then you have to look for a reversal pattern, which you got. So that's what you got. So on a ES, I like using a 4-hour. On a 4-hour, you can't tell yet. I do know that that's ugly. Next week, I'm doing a thing on candle patterns. So this is where it becomes really essential on a short-term chart. When I'm day trading, I'll use an hourly, a 15, a 5, and a 1. If you go to a 15, you're oversold. Now you see why I covered Microsoft, because you got oversold at support. Now it comes down to, how does it work that off? Does it work it off by just futzing in this area, getting this back up to here, and then it plows even lower? Well, that's what we're going to be watching the rest of the day. I think that Tesla is the key right here. And by the way, if you hear a lot of background noise, I'm having the house pressure washed and painted, so I'm sorry if it's loud. So, but right now, that's what we're keying off of. We're keying off Tesla. Really, Tesla's about it. So if that falls apart, it's not. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not. But I'm watching that. Now, that's not a perfect Brecher ledge. You haven't really had that much of a sell-off. But if it gets under that, yeah, it's probably going to hit the NASDAQ. So just, but that's what we're watching the rest of the day, just so you know what we're watching. So in there, which means it bounces, the NASDAQ bounces. So on the other hand, with the NASDAQ bouncing, the advanced decline didn't bounce. So it doesn't mean I'm buying dips. I just want to make that clear. I'm not buying dips. I'm covering shorts. When the NASDAQ gets oversold on a 15 at support, then I'm covering my shorts in Microsoft. And then I'll reevaluate, and I might do them again later. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm constantly looking at other chart patterns, like I'll show you. So if you want this grid on the free side, let me show you this. This is the VWAP, and it turns red if it's under it, and it turns green if it's over it. So I wouldn't use the advanced decline. So let me share this with you, if my share's working. There. Here, let's see if I can share this in the YouTube room. Let me see if I'm allowed to do that. Let's see. Yeah, I think. There. 15 grid with VWAP colors. There. 15 grid with VWAP colors. So what's the next thing I'm going to do? The first thing I'm going to do is while the NASDAQ is trying to bounce on a 15-minute chart, that's a 1, but we saw the 15. What doesn't go up? What acts like it's wearing a lead sweater? And you see all the chips. Not necessarily Lamb Research, but the rest of the chips. So they just won't bounce. So the odds are that if Tesla, if they're keen off that, which I think they are on the middle right, then these are going to have a tough time bouncing. I mean, the NASDAQ as itself. So I have all sorts of stuff up. I have Deere, not really NASDAQ, but Deere as an economically sensitive. I have up ServiceNow, CrowdStrike is software/service. I have up MasterCard and Visa, and then I have up a lot of chips. And as you see, nothing's really bouncing, even with the NASDAQ bouncing. So I think all heck's going to break loose if Tesla breaks right here. Breaks right there. That's what I think they're going to do. Sure, you could do that, Bo. You could share that grid. So sure. I mean, yeah, all about that. So like I said, today is all about the NASDAQ. The ES, yeah, I think that could go lower also, especially with that reversal candle. So you got that ugly reversal candle in there, no doubt about it. You have the put call ratio is a joke at 0.64. It was 0.57. So I'm just going on what I'm keen off of with the NASDAQ, knowing that if this doesn't hold, then I think that NASDAQ's going to have another leg down. As you see, Microsoft didn't really bounce. I covered its support. When it comes to the ES is going to key off like the probably Apple. You know, Apple and Microsoft are a huge part of the SPX. So over here are high short interest stocks. But if I put my main list here, you have Salesforce up, Thermo Fisher. These are more a flight to safety when you got the UNH up. Netflix had good news. Chipotle is its own animal. I think that Tesla is the key for actually it probably could pull down the ES as well. Now we could put Deere in there, and that doesn't help the ES either, with Deere selling off 4 points. But I think the key right now for me is the NASDAQ because it's so extended. So both of them have ugly 15-minute reversal candles, but they're oversold. Of course, it has to happen right when I'm on live when you're sort of stuck in purgatory. Not sure if you should buy or sell. In this kind of reversal candle, it doesn't mean I'm going to buy. It means to look for short entries or ledges. And that's what I'm going to be looking for, which I haven't found much of yet. And I'll show you. I could go through all of these and just be picky and look for ledges. Now, the reason I was looking for ledges is because the advanced decline looks so bad. So that's why we found this. So a lot of times, even if I don't put a trade on in the chart patterns mastery, I'll just post ledge in Microsoft, bull flag and something and all that. And as you see on a 1 minute, you had the bear flag here, which I also called out. This wasn't tight enough for me. Plus the whole market was rallying. But you could go through a bunch of these stocks. And as you see, the NASDAQ is the one rallying the least. But I'll just go through this just so you could get a feel. This doesn't mean they're going down, but I thought I'd give you a feel in here. This stock is a little thin. When it has dots and dashes, it's a little thin. In hindsight, yeah, but let's take some more liquid. And I'm being picky. I want to find real tight ledges. There's one right there in Costco. And that's what I do all day is look for these bullish and bearish. There's a bull flag. There's a bear flag at Home Depot. So I'm looking at bull flags, bear flags, and ledges. Target, well, that just got killed. But that's the other thing. The more times you could connect a trend line, the more important. It's just hard to watch them all. And that's why I have up this. And then I have up another 15 screens of that. So that's what I'm watching. I just can't watch everything. So there are ways to scan for more, but this is the volatile ones. It's more than enough. That's the way it looks to me. And by the way, Kevin, good morning from Lakeland. Yeah, I should have said good morning. I'm in North Atlanta. So, but good morning. Sorry I didn't respond. I didn't know how to put in the chat on the YouTube channel. So right now what I'm watching is how anything is working off an oversold condition. As you see, a lot of the leaders aren't, oh, well, there's a ledge right there in CrowdStrike on an hourly. There you go. So, I look at multiple time frames. So how about the NASDAQ? Well, that's an ugly reversal candle, but it's going to have a lot of support right there. Hourly, still overbought. 15-minute oversold. What do? I wait. Or I look for a stock that looks so bad. And that's how we're doing it. But you can have multiple time frames. So, and I'm doing this all day. Yeah, the flashes will give you a migraine, that's for sure. There's the CrowdStrike. Now, what do I see in here? I see that these stocks got nailed. They're oversold on 15. They didn't bounce at all. Not even close, which makes me think the NASDAQ's going to go down even though it's oversold. So that's how it looks to me. No, we got out of the Apple put calendars 3 weeks ago. So just to let you know, and that's this site's not really for posting trades, but we've been out of that for weeks. So just to let you know, once you saw it break up, we got out of every put calendar. So right now we're short term in Tesla, way out of the money. It was a shot in Lamb Research, and we have assorted other stuff. So just keep that in mind. And I have to do this because so many talk about it on online, and in the free video I showed it also. Here's the put call ratio. That's low. Right there is low. So usually when it gets up here, it's a bottom in the market, but that's really low. If you did it on a line chart, it's really low. Number two, the VIX. I look at the VIX a lot with its lower Bollinger Band and the upper Bollinger Band. All we're doing in here is you're looking for, if it gets over the Bollinger Band and gets back under it, it's usually a buy signal for the SPX. When it gets this low, it's usually a sell signal for the SPX. But so many people talk about this online. The key is that you got to wait for the reversal signal. These are massive moves, massive moves. Why not wait for the reversal signal? But I will show you something that I think is a big deal. That, the big old ledge. The problem is that's 260 points lower. So when I see that, I'm looking for shorter term patterns to initiate some kind of bearish pattern. I would like to see this 15 just do this for, let's say, the next 45 minutes. Have this get back to zero, which brings me to the other thing. On a daily and a 4-hour, I use that long-term blue MACD line. I do not use it on a 15-minute or shorter. I don't use it on an hourly. I've just found that it's too unreliable. There you go. It crossed under it, and it went straight up. Yeah, it's not a good sign. It then crossed here and went straight down. So I use it on a daily for futures and a 4-hour on non-24-hour ETFs. So on stocks, also a daily. So just keep that in mind. So closed, like I said, it can be on the lower band. That does not mean to short the market. It means to look. It's a warning sign. All of these things are warning signs. That's all they are. And you got to combine them with charts. And that's the biggest mistake I see on other sites, other than Simpler, I mean, or Twitter, is they see something low and they just blindly go and get short. That's not the way to do it. You gotta, charts rule. So that's how I think. Charts rule. Bo, thanks for sharing that. Can I share that on the free room? Great. So this is what Bo in the chat. It's very much a community on the Chart Patterns Mastery. So we're helping each other, even if we're wrong sometimes on both sides. But that is a scan of the VWAP and the ATR trailing stop, I believe. Let me get that right with Bo. There. So that's the grid. So I said, can I share? But he asked, which is really nice of him. Of course you can. I ignore the blue line except for longer term charts. And like I said, number one is chart patterns. The MACD is just another tool in the arsenal. When I see the put call this low, it's a huge warning sign, number one. What else is a huge warning sign? That when the NASDAQ just had this little pop, an oversold pop, what did it do? Well, the rest of the group acted like dirt. That's a good tip off that the markets are going to have another leg down. But I don't even go near using the blue line on a short-term chart. I'll use it on a 4-hour for futures, and I'll use it for a daily on like the SPX or an IBM, like that. I mentioned IBM because I traded in that pit for 8 years. So I'll use it for that. But short term, no, I don't even look at the blue line. So let me try to put this in the free thingy. There. Sorry, it's not a question, but I just want to share that. There. Now, the other thing, and I can't stress this enough. Number one, I definitely chart patterns first. Second, support and resistance. You see why the SPX just stopped? Oh, it stopped because that's support. So under here, yeah, that's a whole different situation. Another thing, everybody, I mean everybody, thought that we broke out of a bull flag today. it better not get back within it, or you're going to get a lot of people stuck long. But today, I think it's really about the NASDAQ. And one of the reasons is because the support is lower and the NASDAQ stocks didn't seem to bounce. So that's why I did it that way. And let me just tell you, I make mistakes all the time, all the time. I had this keyed in to share it with our room of doing this. Now, why would I do this? And I'll show you in a minute. Of doing this for $1.40. $1.40. And it's 280. But I missed it. Maybe I have another chance later. Now you might say, why on earth would you do something under the market? The reason I did something, I wanted to see that is one, for $1.40 when it's only 10 points out of the money is a good risk reward. But this was another reason, and a good reason. Put call ratio was a joke, and the advanced decline today refused to bounce. Now you see why I wanted to do something on the short side. That's really bad. Unfortunately, I missed it. Now, when you hear me typing, I'm not getting on Amazon.com or anything. That's what I'm watching right there. That is a tiny ledge. That's $1.30. If it goes down, breaks, which it is, that gets you $1.30. It's a measuring pattern, which gets you down to here. And then if that doesn't hold, it measures about 7 points. And that gets to almost down for the day. And all hell will break loose with the NASDAQ. That's how I look at it. So Tesla just had a leg down. NASDAQ had a leg down. NASDAQ now looks like a bear flag. Where could that go? Let me show you. All right. So if that doesn't hold, now I know on a 15 it's oversold. Don't get me wrong. I'm not showing the MACD right now. But regardless, if that doesn't hold, you're talking about that amount. So it's a point. I mean, so it's almost 100 points, 100 points. So that's pretty cool. Just want to show you that. All I'm doing is symmetrical patterns. So you can make an entire living off symmetrical patterns. There's your symmetrical pattern. Now, like I said, the 15 is oversold. So what's it going to come down to? Whatever made the markets go up, if it starts going down, they'll smash this because the rest of the group isn't going up anyway. That's a big move. Big move. So in the chart patterns mastery, I have to structure some trades for you. We're already in some trades. So Microsoft is the gift that keeps on giving. I'm not in it. There's another bear flag. And then back here was the ledge. Then there was a test of the ledge. We shorted down here. I covered like you heard right here. And now it looks like it could be down for the day. And that's what I'm doing all day. I'm looking for that kind of stuff. And I had to post something in the Chart Patterns Mastery. Remember we did that? Don't write that off. I'm telling you, if this NASDAQ's down, I'm not going to go into the exact trade, but watch that Chart Patterns Mastery. Watch that. So as you saw, the NASDAQ rallied. The NASDAQ, I mean, I'm saying just a little rally from 535 to 570. So 35 points. What happened to the advanced decline? It went straight down. What happened to Amazon? It never bounced. Google didn't bounce. Nvidia didn't bounce. Broadcom, Ledge. Look at this. And that's what we're going to work all day. We're going to work it sort of like I did on the disco floors. So far, so good for everybody in the Chart Patterns Mastery. Now we got to worry about things overshooting. Just keep that in mind. Yep, there's your filling a gap. There's your Russell acting like dirt. And now you got this. So Penn in the Chart Patterns Mastery room. Could it? Could it? Well, if it gets under here, check that out. And Dino on the Chart Patterns Mastery, go ask on Twitter Tony Batista about his disco. So if you were really a VIP, you got a thing called a black card. I still have it. So I always kid him about it. You know, it's he's with Tasty Works. And like I said, charts rule. So we could go on any kind of projection and all that, but you got to go on if the NASDAQ rallies, NASDAQ 100, if the NASDAQ 100 stocks don't rally, then the NASDAQ, even if it's oversold, is going to sell off, which is exactly what you see. Now, that's pretty funny, Dino. All right, so you see what's going on in Tesla. Do not write off what we did earlier that you were probably disgusted with me. Do not write that off. Do not write off Lamb Research. In fact, I'll post something for you in the Chart Patterns Mastery. But this could get extremely ugly. The only reason I think it would stay up is because of the support. Right here. Big old support. There you go. Right in there. So that's why I'm telling you right now, I never trade HBI. Brand, it just has too much support. So I never trade that stock. But right now, we're stuck at support. So now it comes down to how does it work it off? Does it work it off by doing that and forming a head and shoulders? Yeah, it's probably going to happen right when I get off. So just keep that in mind. But definitely put call, all that stuff matters. And when I see everything, including the VIX this low, what it means to me is to look for reversal patterns. So, what you got? Now, next Friday, I'm going to be going over candlesticks. And my favorite candlesticks, dojis, and then the follow through, even if it wasn't much. Why did it only follow through to here? Because it got oversold at support. And big red candles or big green candles. So if you're a futures trader, when half that green candle was recaptured, that's a sell signal. So it means that you can then have, well, that's a big stop, but it's a big warning sign. But chart patterns, support and resistance. You see the support. So now it might take hours for that to work. So just keep that in mind. Also, another thing really interesting. Oh, I can't share this, but my big old short list, ask everybody on chart patterns and a lot on the free room. Every time I compile a short squeeze list, it's the top. It's amazing. So you could just go to FinViz and put in high short interest and you can find a whole list. The other thing, we were talking about support and resistance, and keep in mind, I'm just scanning. So you see now, this is what I like. You're seeing a bear flag within a possible ledge. That's pretty exciting. Pretty exciting. So that's a bear flag against a ledge. And I'm telling you, all heck's going to break loose if this breaks right here. Well, decisively. Let's say 245. Right in there. And all heck's going to break loose. In fact, it's hard to draw it exactly because it's not totally horizontal. There. Now, this might go up. Maybe it's a whole bull flag. I'm just saying, if it breaks, that's going to be a big deal for the NASDAQ. So, I mean, that's where I am at the moment. And you'll see, in the meantime, NASDAQ just had that tiny, tiny bounce right here. This is a tick chart because the NASDAQ has a lot of ticks. So it went up about 40. And what did these do? Well, they didn't go up. They went down, actually. That tells me the NASDAQ's going to have another leg down. So just keep that in mind. So I'm real interested if Tesla doesn't hold here. Is it going to go down by that amount on the far right? Not trying to be political. If that breaks, then is this going to be down like 100? So that's your whole tell here. Chart patterns mastery room. Look at the alerts up there. So you sort of get an idea of where I want to get out of some spreads. Yeah, thanks, Penn. All of these. We can go in hindsight. I'll show you. Now, there's a thing also market feel. So when I saw the advanced decline act like dirt and I see the NASDAQ up 109, I'm looking for what biggies refuse to go higher. So when the NASDAQ was going to a new high, this was already there. There's one of those big green candles in the red. That's 5 points. So I try to combine the chart patterns, the candles, and I'm not literal with the MACDs, except probably with the ES and NASDAQ. But definitely those reversal candles, up and down, chart patterns, support and resistance. NVIDIA, Penn, there's a point of contention. Is that the gap? Or is that the gap? So a lot of people go on the gap from the opening, and it filled the gap from the opening. So which was 385, 385.50. Like I said, I have a feeling we're going to sit here for another couple of hours while anything oversold is worked off. That just bugs me. Like I said, I don't use the blue line for short-term trades. It doesn't work that well. I use just this to get myself out of shorts, especially if it's oversold at support. So now we could just sit here for hours. Now, for me personally, because the advanced decline's so bad, I really would like this ES up about 8. So that would pull this to about 4207, 4307, and then do a spread under the market. But I'm not sure what spread I do. I still am up in the air about everything. All I know is no matter how much this rallies, both of them, the advanced declines aren't bouncing. So now if I see this go like this and see these start to go up, that's a whole different situation. But we don't have that. ADD is a New York advanced decline. This is not the NASDAQ 100 advanced decline, but it's all the NASDAQ, but it's been really, really reliable for internals, for direction with the NASDAQ. So usually when I see the NASDAQ oversold at support, you just got to wait. But I want to see what stocks act like a lead blanket and actually, well, I wish they look like that. That's the advanced decline. But I'll go through a million of them in here. on a short-term chart because we know the Nasdaq's oversold. I have time to do it and look for that type of pattern. The dots and dashes, I should take this off my screen. It's too thin. So, but you go into like Costco, they had bounced. You want it horizontal after a moderate rally, and you're just not getting that. Now you are in deer, but that's what I'm doing all day. That kind of stuff. Well, all I know is bonds key off the commodity. That's all I'm doing is bonds keying off the commodities. So that's all I'm doing. And I'll show you what I'm talking about and what I think the Fed watches. They're watching the DBA, which is starting to break up. There. And the DBC, which is the commodity index that includes oil. And let me show you the correlation. I use correlations all the time. So go to the commodity index. This is basically combines both. And the reason I use the DJCI is because it's more expensive. But go and check out an hourly chart of the commodity index. And then on the right, go and look at an hourly chart of the bonds, 30-year bond. So commodity index rallied, bonds sold off. Commodity index sold off, bonds rallied. So how about today? Commodity index sold off, bonds rallied. That's amazing. So, I was trader on the floor. What do you think we're watching? We're watching order flow, but we're also have our eye on the commodities. So if you see a spike like this, darn right I'd be selling the bonds. But the reason a seat's so expensive is I'd sell the bonds and be sure there's a broker behind me to stop myself out if I'm wrong. But definitely watching this. If I see this today go down to here, then you're probably going to see the bonds up for the day. That's at least the way I do it. Like I said, NASDAQ 2 oversold. That's why I'm not touching anything on the short side at the moment. I will later, not now. Now, there is one thing in here. Really cool. Here's another correlation. I'm not really watching bonds today. I think people are really watching Tesla, Microsoft, all of those. Check out Tesla on a 1-minute chart. Now, check out the NASDAQ on a 1-minute chart. So, what happened? The NASDAQ just rallied. I mean, this is micro. This is over 18 minutes. But Tesla went down, not up. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So I'm telling you, you're finally seeing that little intraday weakness relative to this. So this is doing this, which it should do. It's oversold on a 15, and this won't bounce. So it might, But I'm just saying that it didn't act sensitive to the rally at the moment. The first rally, it bounced. The second rally, well, if this goes up enough, it'll bounce. So that's where I am when it comes to Tesla. I'm still rooting for the SPX to go up so I could get in this, but I haven't done it yet. And you saw it. You saw it. I'm telling you, if you were on the floor somewhere and you saw this and you saw this, well, even now, I mean, if you're shorting, which is scary in Tesla, you're watching how all of a sudden how it's acting relative to the NASDAQ having a bounce. So far, it's not. Now, if the NASDAQ gets all the way to here, maybe. But look what happened. The second one candle was down, this went down 50 cents, actually 90 cents. So now it becomes a where they pull on each other. This breaks, that'll break. That's how it looks to me. And here we go. All I'm doing is relative strength and weakness. I hope everybody's seen this real time. So this first rally, Tesla rallied. This second rally, Tesla wouldn't rally. So then the theory is if that stops going up, this is going to break. Now that's breaking the bear flag. But like I said, decisively is 245. Then it could go down by that amount, even more, which would pull this down. So they'll pull on each other. That's how it looks to me. And there's another thing, little thing going on. It's about time. So you had that little rally in here, and the VIX went up for once, not down. Oh, that's another thing to watch. Now, you might say, well, this sold off. I bet all the people rushed to buy puts. The put call ratio went down, not up. That gets me even more bearish. So now I'm really bearish. Here we go again. You still have some oversold conditions. Like I said, though, I'm looking at multiple time frames. Not really a one with the MACD. Not really a two with the MACD. Usually a five. So the five is here at the minimum. That's when I use a MACD. The 15, not much of a rally. So that's why I posted something in the Chart Patterns Mastery. So I hope you saw it. And there goes your Tesla, which means the NASDAQ's going down, which means just to let you know, in the Chart Patterns Mastery, you're up now in what we were in. That you were probably pissed off at me, you're up. And there you go. Oh, this acted bad. I'm trying to talk it out as I'm doing it or as I'm putting in orders. This broke because it showed relative weakness, which means the NASDAQ, which was keen off this, that broke. So that's where we are. So I hope this is enlightening for you. I mean, it's exciting to see it happen when I'm on. It's also exciting when I'm right or I'm humiliating myself in three different places. I'm telling you, this Tesla, I hope everybody saw what I was talking about. That when the NASDAQ did this, this wouldn't go up, which made the odds of it breaking down 100% more, well, a lot more. And then when that broke, the odds that the NASDAQ would stay up were gone. There, Chart Patterns Mastery, where are the 40 puts? They were 8 cents. There you go. Oh, maybe I'm off the schneid in there. You know something's oversold when I can't fit it on the screen like Broadcom. But like I said, when the NASDAQ rallied, all of these stayed red. Pretty wild. Oh, that's another key. If you're watching the NASDAQ, you watch how everything reacts to an oversold condition. As you see, they acted very poorly. And I don't know about overnight and all that. All I know is the chart pattern. And the chart pattern is if this stays under this, it could go down by that amount. But I don't know about 50% and all that. I'm just going on the charts on just the bull flags and bear flags. In fact, if you're only trading the bear flag in Tesla, at the minimum, you made that amount. It was there. It was there for the taking. Right there to there, that's 3 points. Real quick 3 points. Now, I'm not sure. All I know is there isn't a lot of support on the way down. So let me get going. Thanks for being with me. And, it's fun to watch all that. So take care and have a great weekend.